Jonny, Blair here, Northern Irishman in Poland. Północnej Irlandczyk w Polsce. Reflecting at the end of the week here. I've got the hat on. This is a hat that I bought in the Witches Market in La Paz, Bolivia in 2010 when I was backpacking South America. And at various intervals in my life, I would get this hat out and wear it. And it just happened the other morning that I had two hats. I had taken two hats with me to Warsaw to appear on Polish television. Pytanie Na Sniadanie, questions in the morning. And after a while, I chose the 2015 Northern Ireland shirt that qualified us for the Euros. Obviously, the week of the Italy game, that's maybe significant. And this hat from Bolivia from my backpacking days. So just reflecting on a crazy week, I was absolutely knackered after traveling to Warsaw and doing a live television show. The energy was drained. The adrenaline was pumping, but the energy, I was shattered when I got back here and went straight into this bed. And I mean, I went from Olsztyn on a Monday night, so I found out I've got a hotel booking. I've got a train reservation on the Monday, so I left here about 7 p.m, got into Warsaw by 10 p.m, checked into my hotel, had a quick beer with a friend, and then about 5 hours sleep and straight into the studio to record. And it was live, actually. It wasn't even recorded, it just went out live. I met Patrick Ney, which was amazing because he's been a long-term, obviously, blogger, media guy, foreigner living in Poland. So Patrick and I were having a quick chat basically before we went live. And then I met Paul, obviously the musician. Paul played a song from Chris Rea. We didn't have a lot of time to do a lot. I literally got in there, had some breakfast, had 2 cups of cappuccino with extra espresso, and then straight in. It was a knackering day. Some people ask me, how did it come about? Well, a lot of people might have followed my blogs down the years. They're aware that there's a Northern Irishman in Poland, or that I'm running don'tstopliving.net, or that I've released some books about Poland. And now and then I get invited to things. For example, like in Bydgoszcz, they invited me to the local council to help promote the city. In Gdańsk, I was featured in the marathon, and I was invited to some schools to do some speeches on travelling. Obviously, the Warsaw Tourist Board invited me and David Cheeto Fine to a pierogi tasting, etc. This book, Kuchnia Warszawska, they featured me recently on page 161. And it was weird because I got that on the Monday, and the same week I got the email to get invited to TVP, to Pytanie Na Sniadanie. As soon as I got the invite to go on television, I thought it was a wind-up, because you get a lot of things coming through and you're never sure if they're legit. But the email address is obviously with TVP in it, so it's from a real journalist. And then you go on Google and you check that it's all legit. So of course I said yes immediately, and then they asked me for a biography. So I just gave them a quick view of my life in Poland, transition from Northern Ireland, because a lot of people get confused. They think I left Northern Ireland and moved to Poland. It wasn't like that. I left Northern Ireland to move to England, and then I left England to go backpacking. And while I was backpacking, I lived in Australia. And after living in Australia, I went backpacking in South America, including living in Uruguay for a month. And then after that, I went back to Australia, met a girl, ended up in Hong Kong, travelled around Hong Kong, China, and Asia, and then ended up in Poland. So the book that was on television on Tuesday, St. Patrick's Day, of course, Dzień Świętego Patryka, is I went to Gdańsk with somebody. And this actually, it doesn't say on the front or on the side, but at the back it says how a Northern Irishman ended up in Poland. So basically, how did I end up here? And that's the journey. So anyone that's curious about why I'm in Poland or what I'm doing in here or how I got here, it's in the book. It's too long for a normal conversation, basically, which, you know, as well, like being on the television, I didn't prepare anything for that. I just prepared the clothes and I was showing the book. I didn't know what I was going to say, what I was going to be asked. That was all totally spontaneous. They just take you in, and then you know, maybe they don't even know what they'll ask you, because life can be spontaneous on live television or live radio. So it was great to be on there. I enjoyed it. I was definitely very nervous at the start, going in, sitting down, and then it was also, there was a bit of could I get some Polish speaking in, or was I just simply going to speak in English and then would translate it? So we realized that Paul and I were going to speak in English, and then Patrick would obviously speak in Polish because he's almost basically he's fluent in it. And yeah, they just asked me a few questions about St. Patrick's Day in the book. I probably didn't speak as much as I normally would do. Because it was the heat of the moment, it was fast, it was a breakfast show, you know, I hadn't had much sleep. But I'm glad that it went out on air, it went live. I was able to wear a Northern Ireland shirt on Polish TV as well, which is nice, especially in the lead up to this Thursday night where Northern Ireland will play Italy away in Bergamo in a World Cup qualifier, which hopefully will win and end up at the World Cup. So that was it. So obviously they promoted my book, Pytanie Na Sniadanie, and they promoted I went to Gdańsk with somebody. So Marjana and Łukasz, the presenters. So I thank them a lot for that. I thank everyone for the invite. It was an honour to be on there. I have another book, which is Narrowguard Girl, which I decided not to promote on there because I went to Gdańsk with somebody is the main book on how I ended up in Poland. And yeah, I loved it. I did love it, even though it was all very quick, kind of spontaneous. And I have to say, the organisation of the whole thing was so professional. TVP, when you're in the studio and you see everything happening, you're like, wow, this is a fast, hard-working environment. Everything's professional. Everything has to be perfect. From the TV crew moving TVs, you know, they're moving cameras around you. The presenters have moved from this table over to that table very quickly. Then the dancers come on, and it's all kind of synchronized and very, very professionally organized. Even just to putting on the microphone, I had to go in for makeup. I got makeup put on, right? Microphone, and I've been on TV before, but nothing on that level. It took me through a professional high level of seeing how it all works, and the studio was amazing. I mean, everything was pristine. There were so many props and different things that they could add there. They put in a lot of Irish green stuff for the day, obviously, and there's a cafe in there. You can have as much coffee and water and tea as you want before you go on live. So I was just sitting there having a couple of cups of coffee. I had two before and two after, calming nerves even after I was still nervous in the studio. It's fantastic. So it's TVP. It's Pytanie Na Sniadanie, which is the morning show, and I was on there this week. Absolutely privileged, loved it, and I just thank everyone that gave me the opportunity to be on there. Because for me, it's probably quite a big thing. For other people, it's maybe just like a normal day of the week. Oh, he's on TV, but no, it meant a lot, especially on St. Patrick's Day, patron saint, buried in Down Patrick, and that's it. So thanks for everyone following, and I look forward to sharing more of my stories in Poland and around the world with you. Keep your lit usings. See you later.